Stick with us today as we talk to Cain D'Amico. He started taking his real estate classes while still in high school and went on to close 12 transactions in his first year. Cain shares how he utilized social media, was responsive to his clients' needs, and leaned on his network within his real estate company to kick off his career with a bang.
Welcome to Unlocking Real Estate, My First Commission, where we dive into real stories, big wins, and early lessons learned from highly successful rookie real estate agents and brokers. This is the series where we explore how real estate transforms lives, one home at a time, by sitting down each week with a new agent or broker who has found incredible success in their first year. Your hosts are instructors and leaders at Colibri Real Estate School, one of the largest real estate educators in the nation, where we focus on helping people like you get started or find continued success in their careers.
Hello, and welcome to Unlocking Real Estate, My First Commission. I'm your host, Tina Lapp. I've been in real estate education and helping individuals enter and thrive in their careers for over 30 years.
And my name is Giovanna Mancuso. I'll be your co-host. I've been in real estate for over 10 years, and I'm also a real estate instructor for the state of New York and Florida.
We are here today with Cain D'Amico. Cain, will you take a moment to introduce yourself, where you live, and what company you're with?
Absolutely. I'm Cain D'Amico. I'm a licensed realtor with Lokal Real Estate, and we're here in the Cleveland, Ohio market.
Okay, great. Cain, so what were you doing before you became a real estate agent?
So before real estate, I was actually in high school. So I went straight from high school to becoming a realtor.
Wow. So what inspired you to pursue this career in real estate?
The biggest thing for me is I've always had an interest in owning rentals and flipping properties. So I figured what better way to do it than do it as a career.
So you have experience in construction, renovation.
My dad's been a floor installer forever. So he knows a ton and has kind of helped me along the way.
That's great. That's great. So is there a specific moment or person that influenced your decision to become a real estate agent?
I mean, I would definitely say my parents. It was one of those discussions where they're like, they wanted me to go to school. And I was like, well, I don't really want to. I want to go into other career paths and see what's out there. And then we had a sit down talk and kind of they helped me and have helped me since then kind of strive in this career.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, so Cain, it's a big step. You're right out of high school. Here it is. You've convinced your parents. This is your path. Did you start taking classes right away out of high school, or did you start classes while you were still in high school? How'd that work?
So right when I was finishing up high school, I decided to start taking courses. And then I was pacing myself, and then I slowed down. And then finally, when I graduated high school, I'm like, time to finish them up.
Okay, so you were still in high school when you started classes. Is that right? Were you 18 yet?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of people ask because usually you have to be 18 to get a license, but not necessarily to start the classes. So here you are, you decide to go through. How'd you decide to what school to go to, or where'd you find a school?
That's actually a good question. It was kind of the first step where I was like, uh-oh, what do I do here? So I went and my parents knew a few realtors. I knew a few people that were in real estate, and I went and talked to them. And they were all telling me Hondros was the place to go.
Wonderful. I'm thrilled to hear that. So how'd you take your classes? Did you do them online, in person, a little of each? How'd you go through?
I did end up doing them online just because I was still in school, so it worked best with my schedule.
Yeah.
The only downside to me doing them online was I didn't get them done as fast as I could have.
Yeah, I hear that a lot because you're not there with an instructor every day expecting you to show up for class. So how long did it take you to get through classes?
I want to say I started right after I turned 18. So I think in January, and then I ended up finishing in June or July.
Okay.
So, I mean, time that I was actually involved in it, maybe a couple months, but
Yeah.
definitely dragged it out over 6.
Yeah, but 6 months still to a new career is not bad, my friend. 6 months, you
Well,
got
I
through.
appreciate that.
Yeah. So how did the exam go? Was the exam what you expected?
Yes, it was. I felt like I was prepared for it pretty well, but I did end up failing the first time. I passed one, failed the other,
Mhm.
and then I took it again and ended up passing both. So it was perfect.
Congratulations, and
Thank you.
congratulations for continuing and not giving up hope. The fact of the matter is, anyone in real estate will tell you the exam does not predict success in real estate, and you're a perfect example of that. So I love that you went back and didn't give up after not passing the first time. So important. So, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. What was the most difficult part, or what challenges did you face kind of going through classes and, living life and finishing high school at the same time?
I mean, I'd say the most difficult part was probably figuring out what the next step is. There was a lot of unknowns of, well, how do I get into this and how do I get started? So, I mean, the courses were doing great on preparing me on what I needed to know and what I needed to do. But as far as the next step, that was always, what do I do?
Yep. And that is so true. The classes teach you the exam, right? Like, and
Exactly.
now I'm licensed. Now what do I do? So, yeah, yeah, makes sense. So, yeah, we'll dive into that a little bit more, Giovanna.
Yep. So, what were your expectations going in and your first year as an agent?
So I, I kind of went into it thinking it'd be super easy. And that's one of those things you find out very quickly that it's not as easy as you think.
Yep. Yes. You go in and you're like, I can do this. And then you realize, wait, there's so many other factors going on. Yes.
Exactly.
So, how long after you obtained your license did you close on your first transaction?
I got licensed on September 1st, and my first closing, I believe, was Halloween, so October 31st.
Oh, pretty quick. That's pretty quick. Yeah,
Well,
that's.
thank you.
So, how did you market yourself as an agent? To establish your credibility. What kind of marketing did you do?
The biggest thing I'd say, obviously, social media. That's one thing people always say, and cold calling. So, cold calling is one of those things where you really got to build up the courage to do it. But I mean, that is really the only reason I was able to close a deal as fast as I did.
So, you found that cold calling was the most effective for you in terms of
Absolutely.
building your business. Okay. And any other marketing techniques that you used, or print
Not
ads, or anything else?
beginning,
Okay.
not in the beginning, but now going into kind of this year, now knowing what I do know,
Right.
I've opened that avenue, looking more into like paid lead sources,
Okay.
just because they do have their perks.
Right. Right. Okay. So that's good. Tina?
So so here you are, your first year, you're using social media. Talk a little bit more about how you utilize social media. What'd you post? Where'd you post? How do you engage with people?
Absolutely. So the biggest one to me that I'm comfortable with is Instagram. And then I ended up creating a Facebook because I've noticed that's where a lot of people in the business are. So Facebook and Instagram were the two biggest ones, and I was always just posting just listed or just solds or little tips and tricks. And then I started getting into video, short form videos, and a bunch of people in our brokerage have had a lot of success with them. So I'm starting to do those as well now.
That's great. So when you got started and you picked your brokerage, did they help you with any of the marketing, or did you sort of have to figure all that out on your own?
In the beginning, I had to figure it out kind of on my own. And then the brokerage started getting heavily involved with it. And they actually have a social media person that they use now. So they've been nothing but helpful as far as
It's
social
amazing.
media goes now.
That's amazing. So here you are, you're starting to post. How did you establish yourself being a new agent, relatively young, right? So how did you establish credibility? How did you get your clients to trust you?
That was definitely one of the trickier parts. One of the biggest things is I started doing some co branding with
Mhm.
people who have been in the business for a long time, just to show, hey, they trust me, so you can trust me too.
Yeah.
And I'd say that's one of the most beneficial parts.
Yeah, that's nice. And having support network for sure. So here you are, you're out there, you're finding clients. Like, tell us about the clients you were finding. Were you working with buyers, with sellers? Like, talk a little bit about who was most successful for you.
In my first year, I kind of had the stubborn mindset that, oh, I only want to work with listings and things like that just because they were easier and they would take up less time. So it was like, hey, I'm going to do this. And then I started to realize that listings are fantastic, but the more you work with buyers, you have a way better chance of getting referred by buyers because you have a long process to build the trust, build the relationship, and walk through every step with them.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Were you doing any open houses?
That's one thing I still to this day have not done. Um,
Okay.
I need to, and that's what it comes down to. I just haven't yet.
Yeah. Well, hey, my friend, you're doing just fine. So it sounds
Well,
like
thank
things are
you.
working. Yeah. Things are working for sure. So during your first year, here you are, you're trying to figure it out. You're relatively new to the business. You started moving pretty quick. How long till you closed your first transaction?
That took me about 2 months.
Okay.
It wasn't a great transaction, but it was one of the ones where you're learning, you're figuring it out. I think the purchase price was $11,500.
Wow. All right. Yeah, everyone starts somewhere. That's great.
Absolutely.
So, what were your biggest challenges the first year as you're navigating this new career?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just how do I do it? You know what I mean? Even when it comes down
Yeah.
to the little things like a purchase agreement, when you get started, there's multiple pages of words you don't know.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did was I read through all the documents. Everybody's like, read through them, understand them. That way you can explain them. And I mean, it was one of those things where I was always afraid to say, hey, let me ask my broker this. But then I started saying that nobody would have a problem with that. So I would just check on everything and make sure I did everything right.
That's great. And it sounds like you had a very supportive company that you could call and ask for advice or help navigate the transaction. Is that true?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. So, um any memorable or funny experiences with a client or a specific transaction that sort of stands out to you?
I'd say my most recent transaction, honestly, it was a couple of first time homebuyers and they were close in age with me, so we were able to connect on a lot of things, and it
Cool.
was honestly the first client I've dealt with that is the same age as me. So when you do it with them, you could talk to them as if they're friends with you. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
friends at this point, you're not just clients.
That's great. And so do do you stay in touch with them afterwards? What's your relationship with them sort of post closing?
So yes, that's one of my biggest things for this year that I'm working on is my client follow-up. So it's a lot of now I'm getting involved in holiday flyers and things like that. And even just as simple as a text or a happy birthday is what I'm trying to do.
That's great. That's great.
So, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
So in 5 years, I want to have more investments under my belt. So couple rental properties and hopefully do maybe a flip or two a year. And hopefully in more of a management role where I'm training other agents.
Have you started doing any flipping yet?
So I have one rental that was a pretty extensive rehab that actually me and my dad worked on. And that's the one under my belt right now.
Okay, did you flipped it? You sold it after
We
you?
actually held on to it as a rental.
Oh, you held on to it, so that's what. So you already started that process of investment. So that's great. That's great.
Thank you.
Is there any tips or tricks you'd like to share with aspiring real estate agents just starting out in the business?
I think the biggest thing I would say is you can't hesitate. You have to act on every opportunity that opens up to you. And as soon as you think about it, you will push it off. And firsthand from me, I have hesitated before, and you will lose out on those opportunities.
Yep. Great advice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great advice for sure. So I know the audience is asking, like, here he is, new to the business, he's hitting it hard, 12 transactions your first year. Like, what would you say was the secret to your success?
Back to my advice, I would say acting on the moment. As soon as anybody said, hey, they're interested in purchasing, they're interested in selling, I went after it. It wasn't, oh, I'll call them tomorrow. It was, I'll
Yeah.
call them right now.
Yeah. Okay. And so do you go to the office? Are you virtual most of the time? Talk to us a little bit about that.
So the biggest thing for me is I do go to the office every day. I've tried working at home and I can always find something else to do. So I try and make it to the office 5 days a week. Usually on the weekends, I'll still be working, but from home.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. So we're going to jump into the lightning round, Kane. Just have a little bit of fun, get to know you a little bit. Um, so let's start with, is there one book or maybe a podcast that you would recommend to the audience and why?
So one of the I'm not a big reader, but the book that I have read is Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I think that's just a great book because it gives you two perspectives and you can kind of see the different ways people react to situations. Um, and then a podcast that I really like that helped me in the beginning was the Bigger Pockets podcast. And that one, they kind of go on and talk about investing in real estate and which ways you should be doing it. And it's just any way you can learn is the best way.
I love that. And those are both great. Great recommendations.
Thank you.
If we had a time machine and you could go back to the day you started this journey, what would you do differently or what advice might you give yourself?
I think the biggest thing would to be just calm down. In the beginning, I was stressed about everything. If I wrote an offer, I felt everything needed to be perfect and I needed to clarify 100 times. And then you find out very quickly that you don't need to do that. Just calm down and get it handled.
Yeah, calm down and get it handled. And yeah, it's good advice. If you could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
This is a pretty generic answer, but I would say Warren Buffett. And the only reason for that is just to figure out how he thought of everything and how he paved his way for success. I mean, I think he thinks outside of the box and has built his wealth through smart investing, which is just great advice that you could learn.
You clearly have a thirst for learning and continuing to develop yourself. And I have no doubt you're going to continue. Like we're going to watch and see more great things out of you. I'm so excited to sit back and enjoy the journey. Um, Tell us about your day yesterday. What'd you do for work yesterday?
So yesterday, our brokerage, we actually host a monthly networking event. So it's the third Thursday of the month. I attended that from 12:30 to 2:30. And then after that was a lot of client follow-up. And then I did actually submit an offer.
Congratulations. I
Thank
hope
you.
it's accepted.
Me as
My-
well.
Waiting to hear, right?
Exactly.
Kane, where can listeners or viewers connect with you to follow your journey?
The easiest way to connect with me, I'd say, is Facebook or Instagram. I regularly use them every day, so I check them as often as I can.
That's great. That's perfect. I know that our viewers will want to watch, see what you're doing, learn from you. I know you're going to be an inspiration to many. So it's a lot of hard work and follow up. It sounds like, which is great.
Well, thank you. That means a lot.
So, Cain, thank you for spending some time with us today and sharing your journey. I know your story is going to inspire a lot of people that are interested in starting a career in real estate, and those launching their careers right now. So, thank you so much for someone who's been just right out of high school, getting into this business and doing so great, and also looking past not just for helping those buyers and sellers, but also for yourself, for investment and flipping and just bringing all those pieces together. You have a great story.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks Thanks for tuning in to Unlocking Real Estate, My First Commission. We hope today's stories and insights inspired you to take that next step in your real estate journey. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode, or head over to our channel to see some of the other content we've produced. We'd also love to hear from you. Drop a comment below with your biggest takeaway or a question for our next guest. If you have a recommendation for someone we should interview, please send a note to unlockingrealestate@colibrirealestate.com.